Welcome back to CTV Morning Live. We do have an Ask the Expert segment right now with Doyle Salewski. Paul Salewski is joining us. You can give us a call, 789-6559, extension 2803. You can always reach us via email, via Facebook, via Twitter. And we already seem to have some callers in already this morning, and I believe we're going to take to the line out in Canada. I believe Elise is on the phone. So Elise, good morning.
Good morning.
All right, what's your question?
I have a question. There's two paths to take when somebody's in debt. If there's, let's say they're about $50,000 in debt. With credit counseling, meaning taking the path of having payments over the next 5 years to pay off their debt, and then to get into a better credit situation quicker, or is it bankruptcy better, to go bankruptcy, pay the discharge, and then try to reestablish yourself? Like, which path is better to reestablish yourself quicker and better?
Well, the first thing you have to look at is your actual situation, because some situations warrant one thing versus another. If you've got assets that have some value but you can't realize on those assets, you might be better off doing a proposal to your creditors, where you offer a payment plan over some time frame. The time you're in banks is dependent upon your income. If you have a high level of income, you might be looking at some high level payments you'd have to make to a trustee, so that sometimes doing a proposal is better than doing a bankruptcy, because you're paying a fair amount of dollars anyway. It really depends on your particular situation. The way it works is your credit rating is affected by whether you do a proposal or whether you do a bankruptcy. Certainly for a proposal, your credit rating will stay for 3 years after your payments that you made the proposal.
Can I just ask a quick question? For people who don't know, what exactly do you mean when you say a proposal?
A proposal is simply a deal you make with your creditors to pay all or a portion of what you owed over some time frame. There's no right number, wrong number. The big thing is you have to offer more to your creditors than what they would get if you were bankrupt. And we analyze your situation, look at the assets that you have and the payments you'd have to make, see what would be available in a bankruptcy, and then what would be available in a proposal.
How much do they look at then in bankruptcy if you're looking at your car or your house? How much of that would get affected, or does it?
For the most part, cars and houses don't get affected at all. Basically, people have a house, it's got a value, it typically has a mortgage on it. When you look at the house, your realization cost of selling the house, there's no equity. So what happens is basically you make arrangements to keep your house. You make arrangements to keep your vehicles. Okay, a lot of vehicles, some vehicles, depending upon value, are exempt from seizure anyway in a bankruptcy. So in a lot of situations, your assets won't be affected at all for a great number of people. RSPs, for example, are not affected at all by a bankruptcy. You get to keep those.
Really?
Yeah. So what happens is, that's why you have to come to professionals like us, and we can look at your situation and give you the various examples. When you say credit counseling, you might be talking about debt settlement companies. It goes back to what I said before. Debt settlement companies can't look after all your credit. If you have a situation where you owe money to CRA, debt settlement company can't help you. We can certainly help you.
How is it that you have that relationship, that you can do that?
Well, because it's just the way they work at the CRA. They will not do any kind of informal arrangements with taxpayers whatsoever. They will do it through formal arrangements through a trustee that are sanctioned by the government and basically approved by the courts.
And how do you earn the name of a trustee? That's
a long process.
Okay.
You take exams, you sit oral exams with the government, you get licensed by the federal government.
So it's incredibly different to understand that there's a lot more of a process heading in
under
a trustee.
Absolutely. Significant number of trustees or chartered accountants as well.
Now,
so a lot of that.
We just spoke to Elise, who was in Canada. She came up with this number around 50,000. It can be a 50,000. It can be 100,000. It can be $500, right?
No, it can't be 500. Well, it has to be at least 1,000.
Okay, all right.
But
I was going to say, at what point are you in trouble?
Has to be at least $1,000. But you're in trouble when you know you're getting those calls. But it can be any amount, and any plan might work for you. There's a number of different solutions and a way of looking at a problem. That's why it has to be analyzed and looked at before someone can say, do this, do that. Debt settlement companies will just want you to give them some money so they can try and do something with your credit cards, for example.
There's interesting process between looking at the direction that you're going to be going and how you want to get to that end result. For you, seeing that end result, I mean, you've been in business for a long time. What is that like for you?
Well, I can tell you myself and I know my partner Brian, I figure most trustees are really buoyed by the fact that when you do a proposal for someone helping out of debt, they're not bankrupt. They really have been making a good effort to pay what they can on their debts. It's a good feeling. If you're doing a commercial company file, it's a great feeling where you've had a company stay in business because you've helped them. They've kept people working and that kind of stuff. But certainly for us, anything we can do to help people relieve the stress that they have with respect to the debt situation. A lot of people think that because they might have to go bankrupt or do a proposal, it's the worst thing in the world. Well, it's not. Sometimes the best thing you can ever do. The whole regime in Canada is designed to help you out of your problem, not to hurt you.
It's an interesting way of looking at it right there.
Sure.
And interesting, you know, I oftentimes you think of this as a personal aspect, but when you're dealing with a lot of businesses as well. This is something comes up and your business gets into it, and you're responsible for other people. You've got employees, you have a lot of things that are there.
Well, also too in businesses, a lot of times you're responsible for things that don't get paid. If you don't pay the source deduction, they're deducted off people's paycheck. You, as the director of the corporation, are responsible personally for that. If you don't pay the HST, you're responsible personally for that. So sometimes, even though you run a business, you've got some liabilities that may come back to haunt you later on. And most times today, a lot of businesses just can't get financing, so you have to sign the dotted line with the banks to guarantee that they'll get paid.
A couple of things to think of right there. We do have to take another commercial break. Please let us know if you have questions. You can call us. You can give us an email. And we have another segment to take you with Paul Salewski from Doyle Salewski. 789-6559, extension 2803, ottawa.morning@ctv.ca. We'll be back with more after this.
I'm trying hard to take it back. So if by the time the bar closes and you